Unless you decided to speak, Ramdas, we're okay with that.
No, it's okay. But we need to start the meeting. You start the meeting and then wait for the
Yeah. No, I thought, there is all this introductory stuff, right? By the time the speaker would join. So whatever is this initial thing, we can start off. In the meantime, they will join.
5 minutes. Anyway, we'll get started on the meeting. No problem. I call the 37th meeting of Rotary Bangalore Cantonment to order. May we all observe 1 minute silence for world peace, especially at this time when there is war in the place. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to our meetings online. We have been having a lot of physical meetings for a change. We had the cricket match, we had the vocational visit, we had the For the Sake of Honor award meeting. So wonderful to see so many people back. In fact, Sudeep, I think we had a record attendance at the For the Sake of Honor award meeting, right? How much was that, Sudeep?
It was close to 40 Rotarians attended.
Wow, that's so wonderful to see 40 Rotarians as a record of sorts, having people at the at RHL. I think this trend should continue. We are now going to be going back and forth between online and physical meetings. The next meeting is going to be a online meeting. It would be the general body meeting where we would have the members of our committee presenting their projects. Please be there and encourage. A lot of good work has been done over the last 8 months or so. So please request you all to be there and hear out the presentation. Encourage our directors who've done some wonderful work. I'm still waiting. I don't know whether Anupama has joined us yet. We're going to have a wonderful talk with her. Meanwhile, let me make a few quick announcements. As usual, our community service team has been doing some phenomenal work, and next week we're going to have a very interesting small little project of on Water Day, which is 22nd of March, Tuesday. We will be going out towards the Alsur Lake area and providing water trays or water bowls for animals. That's the stray dogs, and the community service team has been doing some phenomenal work, and next week we're going to have a very interesting small little project of on Water Day, which is 22nd of March, Tuesday. We will be going out towards the Alsur Lake area and providing water trays or water bowls for animals. That's the stray dogs, and the community service team has been doing some phenomenal work, and next week we're going to have a very interesting small little project of on Water Day, which is 22nd of March. There's a little bit of
I think there is an issue, yeah.
Yeah, there's an issue with the repetition going on. Can you switch off the YouTube? Can you cut the YouTube off? Yeah, I hope that's better because it's displaying back. Okay, I don't know how many times you heard me there again. So let's go. Hey, I think Anupama just joined us. Hey, Anupama, welcome. Can you hear us?
Hello. Yes, I can. Thank you so much.
Hey, wonderful to see you, Anupama. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate taking time off to be with us this evening. Looking forward to hear you talk. And thanks to Narayan Nurani for making you happen at this meeting. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to this talk because most of us have lost a lot of money doing all these online transactions. So we kind of trying to figure out how to stop that. I know some of us have even very graciously given away credit card numbers, OTPs, and everything on the online, and kind of lost a lot of money. So many of us trying to figure out how to stop this. So wonderful to have you with us, Anupama. Thank you for joining us. So a quick couple of things. The next meeting, like I said, is going to be the business meeting. Please do join us online. 31st of March is going to be the fellowship night. It's the 5th Thursday. Community Service Director Shabir has, as usual, offered a lot of fun and fair. A lot of, I think it's going to be at Rotary House of Friendship. A lot of fun happening there. So please join us. That's one of those nights we get together and have a lot of fun. Do join us there. In advance, I'd like to tell you on the 3rd of April, the community service team has organized for an event where we are distributing 25 wheelchairs to the disabled, for the people who deserve it. So that's going to be a big event. Please do join us at that point. Mark your calendars. 3rd of April. It's a Saturday. Sunday, Sadashiv? Sunday, right?
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. Please join us there. I'm hoping that the district governor also joins at that point of time. One more small, sorry, it's at Rotary House of Friendship, our own Rotary House of Learning, our own club. Please join us there on Sunday. One more small thing, on the 19th of April, we are having the district conference. So I've been, the district people have been calling me. I request all the new Rotarians to join us for the district conference. This time the chief guest is none other than Shashi Tharoor himself. So he's going to be the chief guest, and he's going to talk at the conference. So that's on 19th and 20th. Please join us. I register now. We need to register. Please reach out to Nanda. Registration is just 3,000 rupees per head. Includes 2 days of entire breakfast, lunch, and dinner kind of thing. So it'll be a great conference, presentation by a lot of services, and you'll also hear Shashi Tharoor speak. So please register for it. I'd like you to be there at the district conference. That's all from my side. Over to club services, our club secretary Nanda for the announcements.
Well, good evening, everybody. Well, as far as the events of the last week are concerned, on last Saturday, the 12th of March, the annual awards function of the Rotary School at Chennapatna was held, and 20 Rotarians and nuns attended that event. And at that same meeting, the International Services Committee bestowed upon Mrs. Geeta Ram Prasad, the principal of the school, the PHF certificate and pin. The award was given by using the points that is to the credit of the club account. Then the Vocational Services Committee also commenced the distribution of 100 books on the four-way test to the students of the 10th standard of that school. The Community Services Committee has also joined the district on their drive to assist the needy children by carrying out 100 pediatric heart surgeries. They have contributed 1 lakh of rupees for these surgeries, which will handle 3 surgeries for the needy children. The Youth Services Committee is working hard to promote the Young Achievers Award. Radio Indigo has been promoting this event through the radio station. Members are requested to promote the award among their contacts and groups so that the right candidate for the award is identified. The Club Services Committee held a meeting on Saturday, the 12th of March. The meeting and fellowship and dinner that followed the meeting was hosted by Jasveer and Harpreet. Now, as far as the birthdays and anniversaries that are being celebrated this coming week, our new member Rotarian Susan Marcus is celebrating her birthday today. So also our crusader Rotarian Sabarwal is celebrating his birthday on Wednesday, the 23rd of March. And as for Anne's, Nandini is celebrating her birthday today. And there are no wedding anniversaries that are being celebrated this coming week. So wishing all those who are celebrating this a special day in their lives, the very best of health, happiness, and prosperity in the years to come. Now going forward to the programs of the forthcoming week, on the occasion of the World Water Day on Tuesday, the 22nd March, the community service is taking the lead for a club to join the Namma Bangalore Foundation to conduct a campaign to distribute water bowls to be kept at parks, public and private buildings so as to share water with the birds and dogs and cats, etc., for the oncoming summertime. Members who are interested in joining the campaign can contact Sadashiv Shetty. The community service is also holding the meeting on the Saturday, the 19th of March on the online platform. So also the Club Services Committee is holding their meeting on the online platform on Monday, the 21st of March, 2022 at 7 p.m. The next regular meeting, as the President announced, will be on Thursday, the 24th March, and this will be the Club Assembly and Business Meeting. All members are requested to attend the physical meeting. That's the announcements for the week. Thank you.
Thank you, Nanda. Thank you very much. We have some guests here. Abhijit Tati, you're here. Say hello to us. Could you introduce yourself? Unmute, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. This is Abhijit here. I was invited as part of by Narayan over here, just to attend.
Wonderful to see you, Abhijit. Great to see you.
Nice to meet you all, and thank you for the opportunity.
Lovely to have you with us. We also have Ganeshan. Ganeshan, could you unmute?
Yeah, good evening, sir. I am Ganeshan, past president of Senior Citizen Club. I am very proud and I always look forward to attend the meetings of Rotary. Thank you for all your support, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganeshan. Wonderful. Great. So going forward, can we have the Sunil Bumralkar, Rotary Sunil Bumralkar, do the classification talk? The classification talk is a brief talk about his work on classification. Every Rotarian is chosen by a particular classification, which doesn't clash with any other classification within the club. So Sunil Bumralkar has been chosen for a particular classification and he'll talk about it. Sunil, over to you.
Yeah, so thank you, Vinod. Thank you, Nasser, for giving me this opportunity. So in fact, I have, my background is that I'm from the consulting and advisory services background. And obviously, I mean, I don't want to talk about, the industry in detail because there are some stalwarts who are already the members of the RCBC. So there are number of strategic advisory firms as well as the accounting and auditing firms. I was part of the big four accounting firms. In fact, I worked with two of the largest four accounting firms. One briefly with Pricewaterhouse for about 4 or 5 years at the beginning of my career. And then I joined audit arm of Ernst & Young in 1990 and then continuously worked with them till I retired in 2019. So that was almost like a 29-year stint. Essentially worked in various capacities, but two critical aspect. One is, of course, the head of geography, that is the Bangalore office for about 15 years. Handled the practice management, cross sales for various other service lines, etc. And then the other role was, of course, part of the audit leadership of the firm and being a partner who is in charge of the certain critical engagements of the firm, handling many of the listed companies, large listed companies, multinational companies, strategic growth companies, etc., across maybe barring financial services and oil and gas sectors, most of the sectors. Had a significant experience of working, on various regulatory requirements such as corporate law, SEBI requirements, etc., handling all the risk management activities, having significant experience in governance, international reporting requirements, and so on and so forth. After retirement, and then while, of course, I think, the big four, have always been traditionally the accounting and auditing firms. But as I mean, if you see the graph of last 25 to 30 years, while I think auditing has remained one of the mainstays, auditing and some of the traditional practices such as tax, etc., have remained a mainstay of these practices. But if you see that over a period of time, advisory and consulting has really gained a significance over a period of time. And if you look at, I think, especially in last 3 to 4 years, technology and technology related consulting has really shot up with all these firms, including IT services companies, showing a very significant growth. And I think one of the topics that which we are going to discuss are some of those aspects, I think, which I think, the consulting firms are really concentrating on, and there are customers who are demanding more and more services of that nature. After retiring from the firm, essentially, then I tried to concentrate or essentially play on my strengths, so got into advisory services, in an individual capacity as a freelancer. So there are 2-3 activities that I'm doing. One is that there is a boutique investment advisory firm. So I'm actually become a member, rather a mentor and a director, helping the firm grow the practice in investment banking, due diligence, risk management, and so on and so forth. And to a certain extent, I think, I have reasonably succeeded over the last 1 year. The other aspect is, of course, mentoring a mid-size, good-sized, about 700 people assurance and advisory services firm, which has got a pan-India presence. There again, I'm working as a mentor and advisor, essentially helping the firm in strengthening their audit practice, processes, reporting, working with them on the business development, looking at, I think, some of the new service lines, I think, which they need to offer, and, bringing whatever experience that I have to the fore. And then, of course, the other aspect is working with 2 mid-sized firms, who are desirous of going for a significant second round of funding or IPO over the next 2 to 3 years time frame. Then again, I'm helping them in terms of strengthening their corporate governance process, risk management process, reporting requirements, and essentially preparing some of these companies for either the larger round of funding or the IPO requirements. As far as I think, my role with, what that I envisage in RCBC is, obviously I'm part of the club services team, and then obviously I think, I'll help in achieving whatever objectives in terms of club services, new members induction, etc. That is one aspect of it. The other aspect is that whatever that I have knowledge in terms of working with not only some of the corporates, but I'm also associated with a fairly good, solid NGO. So those kind of experiences I can bring to the table, and anything where I think, the RCBC requires my services in terms of, I think, bringing that advisory and consulting perspective for any of the initiatives, I'll be very happy to participate in those. So this is in a brief what I'm all about.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you.
Yeah.
Phenomenal experience you bring with you to the club. And one thing I won't forget, that if you need another big round of funding, we'll come to reach out to you. All of us note that. If you need money, reach out to Sunil Bumralkar.
Sure, thank you. Certainly.
All right. Without any further ado, I'd like to request our newest Rotarian, Narayan Nurani, to introduce our guest speaker for today, Anupama. Narayan, over to you.
Thanks, Vinod, and thanks, Sunil, for your intro. I think we'll catch up offline. We have a common lineage with your last firm you retired from.
Sure.
So let me, welcome Anupama, a brief introduction, right? So she has been a seasoned banker with over 19 years of experience Having worked with various global banks like HSBC and Deutsche, in last few years, she joined Standard Chartered Bank. She has a very diverse experience in banking, including technology, infrastructure support, program management, transition management, and now into the cybersecurity area. She is very active member of the Women in Technology initiative within the industry and has mentored a lot of women in from a career standpoint. From a family perspective, Anupama is married to Philip Matthews, who is the CEO of an NGO which is helping in the welfare society, and they are blessed with triplet girls who are currently in the 3rd grade. Anupama, on her time, does a lot of work with the church to drive a lot of social initiatives for women and children. And she also organized a rally in central Bangalore against violence on children and women. I'll take a minute also to introduce Abhijit, who will, kind of help Anupama in some of the Q&As as they come up. So Abhijit has 8 years of experience in the information technology area. And in the past 5 years, he's worked for a startup that dealt with a lot of the digital forensic and cybercrime investigations. And he has closely worked with the local and national law enforcement agency in really helping them investigate some of the tricky cybercrime and the dark net, as it is called, in the investigations on that front. And for the past 2 years, he's been working with Standard Chartered Bank. So with this, I would welcome Anupama to the stage and share her experience and knowledge.
Thank you, Narayan, for the wonderful introduction. Over to you, Anupama and Abhijit.
Thank you so much. So I will share my screen. I hope I'll be enabled to share screen.
Yes.
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Cool. Thank you so much. So I'm really privileged to be a part of this esteemed group of people to be presenting today. I was listening to all of your initiatives, and I really think your money has to go to the right causes and not be spent or wasted on fraudsters. So very pleased to be a part of to run you through some thoughts on cybersecurity. May I know how much time we have?
You have 25 minutes from now.
Does it include Q&A?
We can keep another 5 minutes extra for Q&A.
Okay, sure. That's helpful. Okay, so I personally believe that we invest a lot on our defense in India. We are amongst the top 5 armies in the world. But very soon, I think we also need to have a cyber defense investment, because the crimes in India are extremely high and growing exponentially over the last, say, 8 to 10 years. So I have some statistics to show, but just to go over what the agenda today is going to look like. Yeah. So
is it possible for you to go to the slideshow mode?
Oh yeah, sorry, I did do that. Try not to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I have a very busy presentation. I won't go through everything, but this is specifically prepared. Abhijit has helped me to prepare this so that I can send it to you and you can have the pointers with you, because in limited time, I may miss out some critical information which you can read later. So we're going to talk about some common types of cyber crimes. What do we do as banks to prevent this crime? What do you need to do to be cyber safe? But in an event of compromise, what do you do if you become a victim? So these are the high-level topics that I will go through today. So what is cybercrime? So it's basically you have a computer, an electronic device, or a network which is involved, and it would have been used as a target to commit a crime. So that's the Wikipedia definition of cybercrime. So how are we faring as a country? In 2012, we had about less than 3,500 cybercrimes reported. In 2020, it's 50,000 plus. So that's how much it has exponentially increased. Apart from that, I think I would like to make a note. 2020, we had the pandemic set in. There was lockdown in 2020. There was 2021 also where we had lockdown. So idle mind is the devil's workshop. A lot of people have been getting into phishing. Within our bank itself, we have seen that within a month of the pandemic, or the onset of the pandemic, phishing emails have increased by five times. So moving on to how we as states, Karnataka tops the list. We were the toppers in 2019, a slight dip in 2020, where Uttar Pradesh superseded us. But definitely, if you see, we are in trouble. But maybe some of these awareness programs has helped. And in 2020, in Karnataka, the number of cases was less. In South India, Karnataka has the highest cybercrime rate. Look at the numbers, 12.5%. So what I won't go through the slide, but really, if you look at some of the scams, such as Big Basket, Aadhaar, and these things that we use so regularly, dominoes. So we need to be really cautious. I'm skipping through some of these slides, but we'll walk through what are the common types of cybercrimes. Even here, I'll pick up some of the common ones, but you can go through it later. So some of the things are identity theft, lottery and prize money scams, job offer scams, loan scams, matrimony scams, phishing crimes involving OTPs, online classified scams, ransomware, ATM skimmers, remote desktop attacks, spyware and adware, and posting personal information, images or videos for revenge. So it's a wide range of scams which are modes that attacks can take place. The first thing I want to talk about is lottery. This started many years ago when we used to get emails saying somebody who doesn't have a hair left millions of dollars and has your name right there. I mean, those were interesting emails back then, millions of dollars. But now you get so many of these emails every now and then. So the scammers try to attract people. We also see Amazon gift cards, especially for Women's Day, Valentine's Day. I've got a lot of Amazon gift cards, which people were talking about. One click on the link and we can be doomed, because they can ask us for information, personal information, which can be misused, or through these links, they can be a spyware, a malware file, which can get dropped into your system. I'll tell you what happens when those things happen, but never fall for this. This is never going to happen. Job offer scams. So people can call in and via email or phone. So please note the language that is coming through. Some of the red flags is the accent. So they come up with really strange phone numbers they call from. They come with a foreign accent and say they're going to give you an offer somewhere. Extremely careful with this. We should really check when people ask for security deposits and bonds. That's the last thing we need to go for at all. Sometimes this can even be an organization which is available. I was talking to somebody recently. I mean, I remember when I passed out in 2002, we were in deep recession, and wherever I went for a job, people asked me for money, and I didn't want to go and give money for a certificate. That was wrong, and we don't know where those companies will be after some time. We want to do a background verification for people who have done that. So it can be multiple ways. Loan scams, yeah, this happens so many times, especially, I don't know how they figure out, especially when the bank balance starts dipping towards the end of the month. There are a lot of calls which come through to people, and it's an opportunity that people can easily get into. So how do you get trapped here? Because for a loan, you need to give a lot of personal information, bank account details, ID cards, like your PAN, Aadhaar, bank, and your salary slips. So with this information, the scammers can misuse it completely because it has a lot of personal information. So do not, if a loan has to be taken, it has to go be initiated by you. That's the best thing, from a proper channel. Avoid this telecallers who keep calling every time for loans. Matrimonial and dating apps. So, they can be a very impressive profile which can be shown, and people can talk about, especially they target certain groups of people, and they try to gain confidence of the prospective partners and get money out of them. We've been seeing a case as recent as last month in India. If you've been seeing the paper, a man, this is called the Tinder swindler, and I've taken this picture from Times of India. He has conned 18 women into marrying him. 18 women. And who are these women? There was a lawyer, there was a teacher, there was a doctor. They were from all over India. This guy was definitely smart, but his wives outsmarted him sometime. Otherwise, this would have continued. And this is not an uncommon thing. This came in the open. We do not know how many women or men are actually hiding the fact that they're falling into these traps. So it's very, what they do, they even use a voice app to change their voice sounding like the parents of the groom or parents of the bride, and talk, to make it extremely authentic. So they have fancy pictures on this websites. This is happening. This is really happening, and some of the people who actually get married, even if it's a single person, if there's no proper background verification, they come through some of these websites. They come in, they get into the house, or open the lockers, get hold of the keys, take the jewelry, and walk out. So these things happen. We really need to be very careful on online matrimony. So I talk about phishing. What is phishing? Phishing is basically an email which comes to your email ID. There's something called as whaling. Whaling is actually catching those really corporate CEOs or CFOs which have a lot of information. So that's like going and trying to get everything in one shot rather than attacking individual people. So username, passwords, credit card, debit cards, it can ask for any information, and it can get this. They can actually even have voice phishing, that is by calling you and asking you to reveal critical financial or personal information. Be extremely careful. So I want to give you an example about how we manage this. So phishing is one thing which requires it's very hard for us to detect. Okay, we can detect some of it through programming certain controls. So when a phishing email is coming through, when an email is coming through into a network, the firewalls will check, and still these emails pass through our traffic. They come in because they outsmart us, right? And when they come in, we have to ensure that security training is done for all the staff in the bank or anywhere. Security training is, because the best way to avoid phishing is by training and educating the end user. That's the best way to do it. I want to give an example which happened in my office. I got an email saying that, give me your phone number, you have chocolates waiting for you. And it was Christmas time. And I said, I ignored the email first time. The email came back after a day saying that you have chocolates waiting for you, luxury chocolates waiting for you. Can you please give us your contact number? I know I'm totally trained on how to manage phishing emails. I took that email, sent it to my security team, cyber defense team, and said, investigate. They investigated, they responded to me saying, this is sounding like an extremely genuine email. So, but if you didn't order the chocolates and you're sure you didn't order chocolates, ignore it. The third day I get the email saying, give me your phone number. You have luxury chocolates waiting for you. This time I was a little cheesed off. I responded to the email saying that I will not give you my phone number because I did not order the chocolates. I got a call in 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. And they said, you had chocolates? I said, okay. I didn't order. Who ordered? They said, they told me the name of the person who ordered, and the person was actually my manager in Singapore. And so I was like, oh, this sounds like a real chocolate order. I said, how did you get my phone number? I was so careless that when I responded, my phone number was right there in my signature. So the very information this person kept asking me for 3 days and I was avoiding, when I responded to the email, it was right there. So I think, while this was, I wasn't a victim because it was really my manager who sent the chocolates, and I got really tasty chocolates that my kids enjoyed. But I could have fallen into a silly trap right there. So just be a little careful when these emails come through. OTPs, never ever give your OTPs out. This is, I think, multiple ways people can come in. They can call you. One of the ways is they can call you and say, hey, I gave your number by mistake to somebody. You would have got my OTP. They will send you a message on WhatsApp saying, can you give me the OTP? It may be just something on your GPay. You don't know what it is. So there may be certain situations where maybe an LG guy had come home, repaired your washing machine and say, give me the OTP to confirm that I've completed the work. So please go through the process and see whether it's really genuinely coming in from a particular company. Did you really lodge this through official portal? Because when we search, say, I was duped with this. I searched for my washing machine on LG, and the guy had Whirlpool, I think it was, my refrigerator, and it went to some random place. They came in, they did not do the right job with my refrigerator. I paid a lot of money. And then we figured out that's not the right place, right? And they asked me for an OTP. And I said, give me your ID card. That is when I realized that they were not genuine. But I had paid the money by then. So, and then when Whirlpool came, they just took like 1/10 of the money to fix the issue. So be very careful from where we're taking services also, because they can come and ask you. Online classified scams. So I'm not sure if you read of this incident. Sometime last year, I kept getting an advert every time saying, if you have 5 rupees or 5 rupees note, there is somebody who's interested in collecting because it's becoming rare. We can give you this much money in return. The thought that came to my head was, yes, my father passed away in the 90s, but in his Bible, he had a 5 rupees note. And I remembered, and I said, I told my husband, I think I can use it now. My husband just said, okay, I think you just saw this article coming up so many times, but you have not seen the consequences of people who tried it. They lost a lot of money. So it comes in classifieds like this. Let me tell you one thing that I have learned in my life, and many of you would have learned. If anything is free, you are the product. Nothing is free. So ransomware, I think I'll skip a few things. ATM skimmer, I think this is an important one. So ATM skimmers, see, we can see the picture here. They can put a card reading machine. It can read your tape. You can see the second picture here, which has a panel, a number panel. So on top of the original one, this can log what you're typing as your PIN. So you have your magnetic strip, you have your PIN getting in. So when you're using the ATM, see how sturdy it is. If it is not sturdy, just pull it, check it. You will know it's not, there's something wrong. Even the panel, it should be right. It should be embedded. It should not be screwed separately. So have a look at some of these simple things while using an ATM. Remote desktop attacks. People can call you and say, hey, your software has to be upgraded. Can you please look into it urgently and give me remote access to your computer? If you really think that they're calling you from an HP or a Dell or a genuine company, ask them if you can call back. Go to your manual, go to the authentic website, call the contact center and say you got a call like this, and if something can be done. So, right. So spyware adware. Okay, spyware, see, when we click on a few links, it is possible that some malicious code can sit on our system. And when this code sits on a system, what it does, it tends to, whatever you type, it will log those characters. So if I type my name, ANUPMA, it captures, oh, she's typing this. So your passwords, your personal information, whenever you're typing, this software takes it and sends it to the attacker. Looks extremely, the predator will not be even known. Be extremely careful about key logging software. So how do you avoid this? By not clicking unnecessary links. Okay, this is a common thing, and we need to educate our children on this, our young generation, because they tend to send videos and pictures and images of themselves and personal information to people whom they trust. And when the relationship breaks, what happens? All the personal information is sitting with somebody who probably doesn't like you anymore, who's upset with you. Then what can they do with what they're likely to do with this information? Some people can misuse it and send it to websites, send your private information out, and you can be a victim of fraud. So there are certain things, especially in WhatsApp, it's very hard to convince young people, and even for us, try to use disappearing messages. So the messages don't stay until unless somebody who is already a fraudster and trying to get the information. We have pictures which have one-time view. So WhatsApp has also come up with some of these standards, and where it can help us to protect. So now I'm going to what do banks do to prevent cybercrime? So as I said, we have millions of dollars in any international bank to protect from cybercrime. So we have a lot of policies on securing customer data. We also ask for strict password policies. We educate our teams day in and day out to stay secure and to avoid anything which is going to hack our systems. We conduct awareness trainings even for users, right? Sometimes there will be alerts coming in when we're trying to use internet banking, messages on WhatsApp. Just now I'm getting a message from WhatsApp while I'm speaking on SEB, while I'm talking, saying, do not give your personal information out. So guidelines are given. So many things a bank does. Apart from that, a little more technical, we scan all our codes, we scan all our network devices. We also have a team called which does penetration testing, and they are ethical hackers. They're trained to hack. They hack and see what are the weaknesses. What is the hacker going to see? And then all these weaknesses are picked up and we remediate all those weaknesses in the bank. So this is not just a bank, any financial service, any company, many major company invests in cybersecurity, does these things. We have intrusion detected systems, we have firewalls, a lot of things that we do in the back end to keep our customers safe. What can you do to stay safe? Check, there's a website called haveibeenpawned.com. Enter your email IDs and your phone numbers to see what happened. I just entered one this evening to see how it works, and mine was hacked. My email ID is hacked, but it clearly tells me the steps on how to manage that. The first thing is change your passwords and use strong passwords. There are websites which help giving us good passwords. Truecaller can be used to avoid scam calls. Try to use multiple email IDs for something for your personal, something for your shopping, something for your professional network and banking. Try to segregate all those things. That's important. With family members, please have proper frank conversations on how to use devices and social media, especially if it's about children. Have controls. Parental controls are possible because children don't know what they're leaking out. They can tell anything to anybody. So use parental locks on all the devices. While shopping, if you have a seller on OLX or Quicker, please ensure you are sure of the seller before giving the money out. So yeah, there are a lot of things I can go on talking about, but I can tell you, if you're chatting with somebody online, they are strangers, even if you talk for 3 years, 4 years. We should know that. Online chats, they're strangers. Avoid using public and unknown Wi-Fis. Try to carry your own Wi-Fis. At least if you're in a hotel or something, that's a different thing. It's a secure one, but avoid Wi-Fis that you don't know. When you're downloading any kind of applications that you want to use and for Android, Google Play Store, and for Apple and Mac, use iTunes. Nothing else, no other places to get the softwares from. So we have some techniques to use for strong passwords. Use characters, letters, avoid using names. Even when you're using passwords, we're so used to using our names for usernames. No, we have to change it, mask it. There's a lot that I mentioned here. When you get the presentation, you can have a look at it. Now, what happens if you lose your money? Immediately collect the bank statement of the last 6 months. Make a copy of the SMS or the WhatsApp chat that you have got, copy of your ID proof and address proof, and lodge a complaint at the nearest police station. Immediately that should be done. In other cases, you can go to the police station, cybercrime police station, with a written complaint along with all the supporting documents. So please lodge these complaints immediately so that the fraudster stops doing what they do and you can recover the faster you report. In Bangalore, we have multiple special police stations called CEN, Cyber Economic Offences and Narcotics stations. I've given the addresses and the email IDs, phone numbers, the station email ID, police email ID, and the phone numbers that you can contact in case you need help. But the best way, the most effective way is to tweet. So if you have a Twitter account, immediately tweet. They're extremely active in responding. So there's a phone number here to the National Crime Reporting portal of the Union Minister of Home Affairs. So this information should be helpful. Here ends my slides and presentation. I'd like to stop for questions. And for this, I invite even Abhijit to be a part of this because Abhijit has practical experience working in Karnataka police departments on some of these cases. So I'll stop now. I think I can stop sharing my screen so the focus comes back here. And do let us know if you'd like to know more. May I request the focus on Abhijit too?
Hey, thank you, Anupama. I think that was one of the most informative presentations
so
we had.
I think someone was asking a question, but was on mute. I just noticed.
That's me talking.
Asking a question.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Anupama? Hello? Can you hear me?
If there are no questions, then
I can.
Narayan, we are done.
Anupama, can you hear me?
I can share the presentation with you.
Can others talk to? Can others hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir. We can
Anupama
hear
is
you,
not
sir.
able to hear you. Anupama, can you hear me?
I think Mr. Vinod John is speaking, but we
Yeah,
can't hear him.
I'm trying to talk to you, but I think you can't hear me. Abhijit, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I think there's a problem with Anupama's audio. Thank you, Anupama. Wonderful presentation. I think one of the most informative presentations we had in a very long time. Something that affects our day-to-day life, and I think digital fraud is here to stay. We are all going to be part of it someday. We need to be careful. I think all of us have been some way or the other affected by digital fraud. I remember my mother sometime back coming and telling me that she just won $10,000, and she asked me, how do I encash it? So I said, hold on, you're not won 10,000. She said, no, actually look at the message. I got $10,000. How do I encash it? She said, I told her, I mean, can you imagine my mother who's 75 plus, convincing her that she hasn't actually won. This is not real. This is not real, but it's fraud. So this can happen to anybody, and I could fall for it. Anybody could fall for it. So really wonderful presentation. Thank you, Anupama. Over to the audience for any questions, please. Anybody has a questions, please raise your hand or ask.
Hi, Anupama. Thank you for very useful information which you shared, which all of us require. I'm Kyle. I have a question.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, wherever we go, especially this exhibitions, they take our email ID. Everywhere they ask for our phone number and email ID. How this information can be misused? You gave a list of things, but every XYZ asks for these two information. How we can be careful and how we can take care of our privacy and other details and data.
Excellent question.
What I do, I'll ask Abhijit to comment on that, but what I do is I have a separate email ID to give in situations like this.
That's actually the best strategy, Anu. Like create another separate email ID just for this purpose. Like every time I visit Nilgiris or like any other supermarket, they ask for my email ID and phone number. I just give them something that I've just created for that specific purpose. How they can misuse it is basically like, what happens is that they're storing your information on their infrastructure, right? So what happens when that infrastructure is compromised by hackers? That your email IDs, your phone numbers, your address is probably those those items, information regarding you will also get stolen, and that can be used to perpetrate further malicious activities against you. So it's not like a person like in an exhibition, they have any malicious intents towards you. It's people who end up stealing the information from their most likely unsecured infrastructure that end up committing these crimes. So, and as Anu mentioned, just keep a separate email ID for these purposes wherever you expect such queries to be had.
And I have some strange fear. I mean, fear. We do this GPay in many shops, and there are cameras everywhere. So I don't know, but everybody uses it. But I feel, see, everything we are doing in front of the camera from top side, and how safe is it? That's a question.
That's actually that's a very valid fear, Kyle. So that has come to my mind too. So what I do is like I pretend to be typing more characters. Like say your UPI pin is 6 digits, right? So I just casually like scroll my fingers over different numbers while only tapping certain numbers, which are the actual digits. So I don't. That's how I kind of try to mitigate the risk of my UPI pin being from being stolen. That's something that you can also incorporate, and it's actually a very valid fear that you have. This is something that even like can be used in combination with the ATM skimmers as well. They can strategically place their own cameras. So you saw the image, right? Sometimes the keypad may not be required. What they'll do is they can place cameras in strategic locations that are focused on the keypad. So always like cover your the keypad and then type in your digits. That's a way in which you can mitigate this risk, Kayan.
Thank you.
Anda, you had a question?
No, you mentioned about the giving a different email ID. What about the phone numbers? They generally ask for mobile numbers as well, isn't it? Does that create a problem?
It can and it cannot. Like most retailers, most outlets, they ask your phone numbers to send out any promotional messages or for advertising purposes, which is not really malicious. It can be irritating sometimes, but not really malicious. The risk that is there is that what if that particular company's or that outlet's infrastructure is compromised? That's when the risk takes place of any malicious activities being carried out on your phone. So most of the times I refrain from actually giving out my phone numbers, and unless it is absolutely necessary. I've had people at Big Bazaar, few at Nilgiris who frequently ask for my numbers. They might insist for it once or twice, but if you persist on not giving your phone numbers, they will finally concede and just proceed with the billing and all that. Try to not give your phone number as much as possible.
Off late,
optional.
Yeah, of late, all stores are asking for phone number and no physical bill is given. They say a message will be sent to your phone number, but actually we don't receive the bill many times.
That's a common tactic that they employ to extract your phone number. So it's actually not mandatory, as Anu mentioned. It's up to you to give your phone number or not. I suggest try not to give your phone number at all. Be a little assertive.
There are certain organizations that you can trust, okay, where you're sure of their cybersecurity policies, because if it's a bank, you trust. So there may be certain shopping centers, I wouldn't want to name, but pretty reputed brands where you may feel safe to give. But I can also remind you of what happened at Domino's last year. Or a Big Basket, and Abhijit was telling me about Dunzo. So we have to be careful, even though there's a lot invested by those organizations. It's not that they cannot be compromised.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Sushila, you have a question, Sushila.
Yeah. So, one of you talking about banks and trusting banks. What happened to one of our friends is that she got this SMS saying KYC needs to be validated, otherwise, you're done for. So she unwittingly clicked on it, and immediately, as soon as she clicked on it, someone called up saying, "I'm calling from the bank, and I'm going to help you through this process." And in the process, basically took her the OTPs and all that. Now she realized after she had done it, somewhere along the middle of it, stopped and immediately went to the police station to lodge a complaint. Now here's the catch, and that's my question is, she did give the OTP, so everyone turned around and said, "It's your fault. Now there's nothing that can be done." So my question is, what kind of recourse does a person have when they have made such an unwitting mistake? Is there anything at all that is possible?
Abhijit, you should take that.
Yeah, so like what you mentioned was true. Generally, when a person has given out the OTP, it's actually quite difficult because you have basically validated the transaction legally. So there are ways in which, like, if you contact within 2 hours of this incident happening, there may be some transaction blocking that can happen from the bank's side, but it depends on your quick action. If you take the longer, more than 2 hours, it's actually a little difficult for any, it's difficult for your money to be back. Sometimes there are certain cases where, like, you lodge a complaint and there are, after like 3-4 months of investigation and verification by the police, so there are some instances where people have got their money back. But I actually don't want to be dishearten anyone over here, but in a lot of cases, there is actually, it's a bit difficult to get back your money in such cases.
But can the data not be used to at least track these people?
There is, it can be actually. So like when an account transfer takes place from your account, it obviously goes somewhere, right? So the investigation, it's upon the law enforcement agencies to take that forward to find the actual perpetrators. There have been instances like when I worked with the Bangalore City Police, where we have actually gotten the locations, the bank details, where they're actually carrying out these scams from. And believe it or not, they're like major call centers operating on these things, like in the orders of like hundreds of people. Just yeah. So yeah, like a lot of people just employed just carrying out these scams. It is possible, but it's on the law enforcement agency's side to take it forward for sure. It is possible to find the perpetrators.
Okay, it's not the bank's job then. The bank just simply washes their hands of it, is it?
In certain cases, yes. Like as I mentioned, right? Like if you act very quickly within 2 hours, there may be some recourse and they can block the transaction from happening.
Yeah, in the case of my friend, it was like immediately she realized it, she hung up, logged off, and then rushed to the bank. And they refused to take even a complaint saying that you gave the OTP, it's your fault, we can't do anything.
Yeah, possibly like instead of going to the bank, going to
police
the
would have been
police, that would have been a better,
idea.
Yes, because like
great, thank you.
Yeah,
money goes out from the bank, so that's where the concern can be.
Yeah,
that's another
challenge
thing.
is in identifying whether it comes to the bank or not. Most often we see that a message from the bank saying that your credit card has now been blocked. Please click the link to unblock your card. So you panic suddenly and said, "Hey, what happened to my credit card?" Yeah.
All the calls.
And then
I think one of the things, right,
and puts a lot of pressure on top of that, so it's already the whole thing just.
Correct.
Narayan,
So I think couple of things. Yeah. There are. Am I audible?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, there are a couple of safeguards which we all of us can take, right? Nowadays, if you look at all the banks, right, where if you're on the app or anywhere else, you have certain transaction limits you can restrict to. So that is one place, right? So even if something goes wrong, that your upper limit of loss is this much, and these numbers can be like, if you have those kind of touch cards, you can keep it to 2,000 rupees, not more than that. So there are many safeguards even banks have built into their system, which one needs to utilize it. And the other thing, right, when I think somebody mentioned around these GPays and phone pays, etc. So like one of the things which I do is I have obviously linked it to a bank account, but that bank account I really don't link it to anything else, and it's purely with some minimum amount there just to facilitate those transactions. So some of these, I think, safeguards one can take. Banks are already providing a lot of inbuilt safeguard which one should activate to, none of this can be foolproof and can mitigate losses, but it can cut losses for sure if something happens.
Good point. Yeah. So have a different email ID, different phone number, and a different bank account. Right.
Yeah, use an account which you are not linking with anything else, and definitely every bank is giving you all the facilities, right? How much you can do on a pause, how much you can withdraw, how much you can even do online transaction. You can set the limits, right? You can set it from 1,000 rupees upwards, and you have the flexibility to change it, right? So if you're, let's say, doing an online transaction which high value, for that transaction you increase the limit. The limit increase happens instantaneously. After that, again reduce your limit. So safeguards are built in which one can use.
Yeah. The other thing Anupama was talking about, passwords. I think we need to ensure our passwords are good and strong. We typically take our passwords for granted. It's always your first name followed by an exclamation mark or some 1, 2, 3 is what we typically do. It's time we change all those things and kind of get a little more serious about our passwords.
Absolutely.
So just to go to that website, iMpond, and check if your security is already compromised, please go change the passwords as
What was
soon as
that
possible.
website again?
Abhijit, can you just put it on the chat?
Can you share it on the chat so that we can all take a look at it? And the presentation was so good, Anupama. If it's possible, share some kind of a gist of the presentation to us. If it's not,
I will send it to Narayan, and he can send it to you.
Very nice.
But all credit to Abhijit for that.
Very wonderful if you can share it with us. Thank you once again, Abhijit and Anupama. Wonderful talk. I think this is one area that we all need to be careful. Very, very important information that he provided us. May I request Rotarian Suman Shankar to propose the formal vote of thanks?
Thank you, Vinod. Yeah, hi, Anupama. How do I sum it up? Extremely informative, very engaging. You got our attention right through, and especially with all your practical examples, whether the loan scam or in terms of even your chocolate example. And what I liked the most was, the tips that you shared, like many of them already saying multiple, strong password, multiple IDs. And what I liked the best in your tip was, don't take it for granted if it is free. So thank you so much. And see, many of these terms that you actually spoke about today, like phishing, you spoke about keylogger, scammer, ATM scammer. So what I liked about the way you presented it is you explained what it is, because these are very new terms, and we are hearing it just the last couple of years. Thank you so much for such a lucid style of presentation. Thank you so much, Abhijit, too, for being there, putting together a detailed presentation, and also to both of you for patiently answering our questions. In fact, we had a lot of questions today after a long time. Thank you very much. And, typically we don't thank a Rotarian. But Narayan, this is your first week and you've scored a 6. Sorry, you're a golfer, so I must say you scored an ace. So thank you so much for, having speakers who spoke on such a relevant topic. It's such a raging topic and it is so relevant for all of us, especially in these COVID times. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being there.
Thank you, Suman. Thank you for wonderful. Once again, thank you, Narayan, for making this happen. Anupama, Abhijit, absolutely brilliant talk. If we get into trouble, we know where to come to now. We're going to come running to you, Anupama. Thank you once again, and looking forward to talking to you sometime. With this, I adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.